Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the April 13th, 2022 Public Safety News Conference. I am Kyra Boyd, Public Information Officer for the Winston-Salem Police Department. Today, you will hear from the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Emergency Management, Winston-Salem Fire Department, followed by the Winston-Salem Police Department. To members of the media, if you would like a copy of this presentation afterwards, please sign in at the podium over to your left. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. August Vernon, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, and thank you, Kyra. Just a few months ago in January, we were preparing for snow and ice, and now it's time to start preparing for severe weather over the next few months. So what are we going to talk a little bit about? Obviously, number one, we'll start with what are the hazards that we talk about that we've had impact the triad before, and that's everything from tornadoes to severe thunderstorms to lightning to hurricanes. In the past few years, we have seen several hurricanes impact the Piedmont triad, flooding, which is a major concern, and even excessive heat. So first of all, tornadoes. We have to remind the public that tornadoes are very dangerous, and the winds from tornadoes can exceed over 200 miles per hour. And one of the most dangerous aspects of a tornado is the flying debris. And we have seen tornadoes in the triad, in the past 10 years. So we want to remind the public of the danger of those. Always look at a sturdy shelter in a basement, a storm shelter, an interior room in a building, your place of business, your church, at home, and I'll talk a little bit more about those. And every tornado, especially during a warning, should be considered life-threatening. And I think it's important to note that we need to say this, but there now seems to be a trend when there is a tornado on the ground, individuals want to run outside and videotape said tornado. So we would strongly encourage you not to do that. So again, if there's a tornado, seek out the nearest shelter if one is nearby. You can use an interior room or the lowest floor of a sturdy building. And if all else, you just cover your hand, the back of your head and your neck with your arms when you get in the tornado position. This is just a diagram for the National Weather Service. Every residence is different. And you need to have that discussion with your family at your place of business where you would go in case of a tornado warning. So there's two terms you need to be familiar with when it comes to tornado hazards. One is a watch, and that means that a tornado is possible. And that's the time when you hear a watch issued by the National Weather Service, that's the time you need to start thinking, where are we going to go? Where are we going to, what are we going to do if it turns into a warning? Once a watch is issued, you need to be ready to act very quickly and be prepared. A warning basically means there is one happening somewhere. So if you hear there is a tornado warning in Davie County or Forsyth County, that means there's either ground reports that people see a tornado or the National Weather Service sees one on radar. Sometimes we'll have both of those reports, or you may just have one. So when you hear a warning come out for a specific county, that means there is potentially one on the ground, and that's when you need to take cover. Thunderstorms, we have some very serious thunderstorms that come through, and some of our damage from trees down, power outages, cars being stuck in water will come from these severe thunderstorms. They can produce damaging winds and large hail. Same thing, if there's a severe thunderstorm coming into the area, we don't encourage you to run outside and take pictures and videotape it. Seek shelter and try to get the latest information. And these conditions can change very rapidly. You hear about the term popcorn storms, and I know the past few years we've seen these popcorn storms that pop up unannounced, so we need to be ready for those. And also, don't try to second guess where a storm's going or what it's going to do. So same thing as a tornado, we have thunderstorm watch, which means conditions are favorable, and a thunderstorm warning, which means it's happening. Lightning. All thunderstorms and serious thunderstorms can produce lightning, and in the United States, on average, each year, over 41 people are killed by lightning, and a lot more are struck by lightning. And unfortunately, a lot of those individuals had warning that that was going to happen. So stop playing sports, stop fishing. If you see lightning, go ahead and find sturdy structure. Give it a few minutes, and a lot of times that storm will have passed. Also, a hardtop vehicle is a good location. Hurricanes. Again, we do get hurricane impact in the triad, and a hurricane watch, conditions are favorable. We know that within 3 days there's going to be an impact, and a warning means it is going to issue us, or it is going to impact us. And a reminder, June to November is hurricane season in the Atlantic, but that doesn't mean we couldn't have one before June. Probably one of our most serious concerns is flooding and inland flash flooding. This can be caused by both the hurricanes and by severe thunderstorms. We have seen some cases in the past few years right here in Winston-Salem and Forsyth County of cars being stuck in water and cars being washed away, which is a very dangerous situation. Over half of fatalities from floods are vehicle related. And a lot of times it's after the storm has passed and people going out to drive around and look. So never ever drive through floodwaters. It's important to remember that 18 inches, just 18 inches of moving water, and we have had this in Forsyth County, can pick up a vehicle, even a large one, and move it. And just 6 inches of moving water can sweep an adult or children off their feet. So it's important to remember the turn around and don't drown. So just like our other hazards, we all know the difference between a watch and a warning, and you will see a watch and warning issued when these storms come through the area. And as far as our hazards, the last one to really talk about is heat. Every year we see tragedies and calls that our responders have to respond to during excessive heat, where individuals are leaving pets and children in vehicles, so we need to be aware of excessive heat watches and warnings. So first part is make a plan. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do if a storm rolls through, if we lose power, if we lose the internet? What are we going to do at our residence, at our place of business, at our church? 2 ways to stay informed. We'd like to remind the public for alerts that would come from your city and county government. The first one is the City of Winston-Salem Citizen Notification System, where we encourage all residents and businesses to go and sign up or opt in to receive these messages. And in the county, we have what's called the Code Red system, and that's a separate system. So both the city and county are covered by these alert systems, but you would need to go in. We strongly encourage you to register for it. And those systems now can be utilized by cell phone, by text message, by landline, though we're seeing a lot less than that. So we, again, would encourage the public to go take a look at those 2 systems. So there's a lot of ways to get alerts besides your phone. Remember, your phones aren't always going to work in a storm, so we have to have alternate means of getting updates and information. That could be a NOAA weather radio that can work with batteries if it's connected properly, without power, without Wi-Fi. A NOAA weather radio is always going to work. You also can receive wireless emergency alerts on your cell phones. There are cell phone apps, and there's a system called the Emergency Alert System that can be triggered to alert the public through a lot of different means. So make a preparedness kit for your family. Think about your pets, and a preparedness kit's going to look different for every single type of family out there. You can have preparedness kits for your business and other organizations. So these are things that you can do now to start preparing. So it's really 3 simple steps we'll ask everyone to look at doing for severe weather. I'm sorry, can you back up? Is number 1, make a plan. Plan with your family, your children, elderly parents, pets, neighbors, et cetera, et cetera. Make a kit, and a kit's going to look different. That's, again, everything from food, water, to medical supplies. And just stay informed. How are you going to receive updates? How are you going to get information? Our partners in the media help us do that. So make a plan, make a kit, and stay informed. 2 local websites you can look at. One for Forsyth County is readyforsyth.org, and the other one is readync.gov. Also, if you are in the social media realm, you can actually go to Ready Forsyth and like and share on our Facebook and Twitter. And we use those on occasion when we receive updates from the National Weather Service or other resources. we will just post that information on social media so you can get the same information that we receive to help you and your family make decisions. And again, you can check those sites for updates on preparedness information. Any questions reference severe weather? Okay. Here's our contact information. And again, we're glad to take questions from the public down the road at any time if you have questions, and we do presentations on preparedness. And I believe that's it. Next up, I'd like to introduce Winston-Salem Fire Chief Trey Mayo.
Good morning. I am Trey Mayo. I'm the Fire Chief for the City of Winston-Salem, and I too would like to welcome you to the April Public Safety News Conference for the City of Winston-Salem. First up for the fire department today, we have two line of duty deaths to remember. The first was firefighter Joe Whitlow, who died in the line of duty February 24th, 1911. And he was the first line of duty death suffered by the Winston Fire Department. Shortly before midnight on that day, firefighter Whitlow responded with ladder 2 to a commercial building fire in the old farmers market, the old farmers warehouse, which was located then at the corner of Liberty and Trade Streets. Whitlow was killed as a result of a building collapse. He was 36 years old and left behind a wife and 4 children. On February 10th, 1934, firefighter, and am I reading these backwards? I apologize. February 10th, 1934, Fire Lieutenant Gilbert Kimball responded with Engine 6 to a house fire at the corner of Bidding and Country Club Roads. On arrival, they found heavy fire conditions in a detached garage. Lieutenant Kimball and another firefighter entered the garage to conduct interior fire suppression operations. Both suffered injuries after part of the heavy timber garage roof collapsed on them. They were transported to Baptist Hospital for what were believed to be non-life-threatening injuries, but Lieutenant Kimball succumbed to his injuries overnight on February 11th. He was 32 years old. And we are killing firefighters today just like we killed them 110 years ago in building collapses. Every year we lose firefighters to building collapses, largely driven by the proliferation of synthetics in the modern built environment and the advent of lightweight truss construction that popped up starting in the early 90s. The risk for firefighters dying from building collapse, falling through roofs, falling into basements continues today. If you will, join me in a moment of silence for these two fallen heroes. Thank you. Next up for the Fire Department, Fire and Life Safety Educator Teresa Knox is going to come up and talk about the Close Before You Doze campaign and also parking in fire lanes. Teresa? Oh, wait. I'm sorry. See, this is what happens when I'm not paying attention. One more thing for me. We wanted to recognize a donation from Forever Friends of Forsyth County. They have donated some PET oxygen masks to us. They donated some years ago, probably 10 years ago, and they have refreshed our supply. We find pets in fires more frequently than we find people in fires. So this is something that we use more often than most folks might think. And there's a little video here. Thank you for the prompter, Kyra. Can you make it play? So this is this incident, if I remember correctly, was in Station 7's area over off of Country Club Road, where a dog was located that had suffered from smoke inhalation. And here you see the firefighters treating that pet with one of the oxygen masks that had been donated by Forever Friends. And we are indebted to Jennifer Tierney, who was a local activist, doesn't seem like the right word, but she's one of the driving forces behind getting these raising money for these pet masks and donating them to the fire department. We also need to thank Smoke and Harley Davidson. They've had some fundraisers to raise money for these pet masks. So thanks to Smoke and Harley Davidson, Jennifer Tierney, and Forever Friends of Forsyth County. Now, am I done? All right. Teresa.
Good morning. Fire moves fast. You may only have 3 minutes or less to escape once a fire starts in your home. Plan ahead to save lives by taking steps to increase your chances of survival. One such step is to close before you doze. A closed door can be an effective barrier against deadly amounts of carbon monoxide, smoke, and flames, and may give you more time to respond to this smoke alarm in your home. Make closing doors at night a part of your bedtime routine. In an emergency, seconds count. Help us help you and your loved ones. When we arrive on a scene, we need room. We need room to be able to get out of our fire apparatus. We need room to be able to get equipment out of our compartments. We may also need to retrieve ground ladders, connect fire hoses to pumps on the fire engine, and to move equipment and vehicles around or beside the first fire vehicle to arrive on the scene. Help ensure that firefighters have fast access in an emergency. Any questions for Chief Mayo and myself? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Police Chief Katrina Thompson, and I, too, would like to welcome you to our April 2022 Public Safety News Conference. On behalf of the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department, we thank you, our citizens, for your support. Please join me in honoring our fallen officers since our last public safety news conference who paid the ultimate sacrifice. Sergeant Howard J. Plouff, end of watch, February 23rd, 2007. Sergeant Plouff was fatally shot outside a nightclub after he responded to a call for help from sheriff's deputies with the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office at approximately 2 a.m. 4 deputies were working off-duty security at a local nightclub when a fight broke out during a private party. The fighting moved outside the club and several shots were fired, one of which struck Sergeant Plouff. He was transported to Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center, where he succumbed to his wounds approximately 21 hours later. The killer was apprehended at a later date and charged with first-degree murder. Police Officer Stephen Levi Amos II, end of watch, February 28, 1995. Officer Amos was shot and killed while he and another officer were responding to a call of shots fired. Officer Amos and his partner, Senior Officer John Pratt, were traveling to a training session when they heard a call of shots fired in a nearby apartment complex. Officer Amos drove their patrol car into the street where he encountered sniper fire. He positioned the patrol car to block traffic and got out to take cover. As Officer Amos exited the patrol vehicle, the sniper fired and the round went through the car and struck him. Other officers were able to move Officer Amos out of the line of fire and transport him to a local hospital where he succumbed from his wounds the next day. The suspect was sentenced to death and was scheduled to be executed on February 27, 2004, until a U.S. District Court judge issued an indefinite stay of execution. The suspect died in prison on December 5, 2008. Please join me in a moment of silence as we remember these officers and others who've paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. I'd like to take this moment to thank the women and men of the Winston-Salem Police Department for risking their lives every day and for the impactful work that they perform on a daily basis. And you'll hear more about that shortly. I'd like to inform everyone of a few of our upcoming events. And these are events that the Winston-Salem Police Department will be participating in, and we invite you to come out and join us. On April 16th, we will deploy our Sweet Reeds truck to the Community Day at Rupert Bell Park from 10 a.m. to noon. Please come out and join us as we celebrate community, develop relationships with our community, especially our children, and read a book. April 23rd, we will be holding our Fallen Officer ceremony in honor of Senior Police Officer Bobby F. Bean at 8 a.m. in front of the Public Safety Center located at 725 North Cherry Street. April 30th, the Winston-Salem Police Department will be participating in the National Pill Take Back Program at Inmar from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. On May 10th, the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Peace Officer Memorial Service will be held at 11 a.m. at Center Grove Baptist Church in Clemens. On May 19th, a Fallen Officer ceremony will be held in honor of Officer Michael M. Vickers at 8 a.m., also in front of the Public Safety Center located at 725 North Cherry Street. Also, on May 19th, the Winston-Salem Police Department will participate in the Special Olympics Law Enforcement Torch Run through downtown Winston-Salem, beginning at 10:30 a.m. On that same day, the Winston-Salem Police Department's DWI Task Force, in conjunction with Forsyth County, will be honored in Cary, North Carolina, as the DWI Task Force of the Year. On May 27th, we will celebrate the graduation of our Basic Law Enforcement Training Class 77. The ceremony will be at 10 a.m. in the Annex Building at the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds. We hope that you will come out and celebrate these events with us. Now, as Chief of Police, it is my honor to award the Employee of the Year and Officer of the Year. We will start with our Employee of the Year. At 01:26 hours on October 28, 2021, Public Safety Communication Operator Anna Tschorn handled a 911 call from a distraught suicidal citizen. The caller stated he wanted to talk to someone because he wanted to kill himself. As Public Safety Communication Operator Tschorn attempted to obtain his location, name, and mode of travel, the man stated that he had a firearm pointed at his head and that he had a knife. The caller refused to answer questions and added that he wanted the police to shoot him and threatened to shoot any officer who approached him. Public Safety Communications Operator Tschorn maintained a calm demeanor and continued to engage the caller in conversation as she entered the information into our computer-aided dispatch system. She cross-referenced his phone number to identify the caller and ascertained his location through GPS triangulation. Officers located the caller sitting in a vehicle in a parking lot on University Parkway and established a perimeter. The actions irritated the caller, and he demanded that officers back away. Public Safety Communications Operator Tschorn relayed her conversation to Lieutenant Gates, who was on the scene, while continuing to calmly speak with the caller. After several minutes of conversations, including threats against officers and declaration of suicide, the caller stated he planned to exit the vehicle. Ms. Tschorn asked his intentions and successfully convinced the caller to lie on the ground with his hands outstretched. She relayed this information to Lieutenant Gates, at which time the suicidal man was taken into custody for an emergency commitment without incident. Public Safety Communications Operator Tschorn demonstrated calmness, compassion, and professionalism during the 20-minute conversation. She quickly and effectively provided crucial information to officers on the scene while maintaining a rapport with our suicidal citizen. Public Safety Communications Operator Tschorn's effective and her efforts helped bring a potentially deadly situation to a safe conclusion for the caller and the involved officer. Public Safety Communications Operator Tschorn, please step forward. Please, and then we'll step up. Okay. The Winston-Salem Police Department 2021 Employee of the Year goes to Anna M. Tschorn, Public Safety Communications Operator, in recognition of your professionalism and actions in the performance of your duty, which directly resulted in a safe ending to threatening and a volatile situation on October 28, 2021. You have been selected as the 2021 Employee of the Year. Therefore, as Chief of Police and on behalf of the Winston-Salem Police Department, we commend you for this exceptional performance. Congratulations and thank you. Now to our Officer of the Year. This should jog everyone's memory. At 3:34 p.m. on June 14, 2021, gunfire erupted outside of the District 1 police substation located at 7836 North Point Boulevard. More than a dozen shots were fired into the substation from a large caliber semi-automatic rifle. Officers outside the substation observed the driver of the suspect vehicle firing into the police substation and immediately pursued the vehicle from the scene. Lieutenant Peter T. Watkins left the Public Safety Center from downtown Winston-Salem to respond to District 1 to help the officers with the situation. He located the suspect vehicle traveling south on University Parkway near the intersection of Northwest Boulevard and began to pursue the vehicle. The police vehicle pursuit eventually terminated directly in front of Reynolds High School gymnasium. At that point, the suspect exited the vehicle and fired a large number of shots from a semi-automatic rifle into the police vehicle that was occupied by Lieutenant Watkins. Lieutenant Watkins did not stop. He returned fire from within the vehicle with his department-issued rifle. The suspect then dropped the rifle and fled into nearby Haynes Park, with the officers pursuing him on foot. At this time, there were children and adults enjoying the park and playground area, as this was the first day of summer camp for many children. During the lengthy foot pursuit through the park, the suspect fired multiple shots at the pursuing officers from a handgun. Lieutenant Watkins was notifying other officers on the radio to watch their crossfire and to try to move the citizens out of harm's way. As the foot pursuit through the park continued, several officers returned fire at the suspect to stop the threat he posed to our community. While running after the suspect, taking gunfire, and trying to notify citizens to take cover, Lieutenant Watkins managed to take a difficult long-range shot at the suspect, which stopped the danger he was imposing on the officers and citizens in our community. All of the officers then immediately rendered first aid treatment to the suspect until emergency medical services personnel arrived on the scene. Investigation into the suspect's actions also tied him to 2 murder investigations in Winston-Salem and 1 in Clemens. So to 2 murder investigations, 1 in Winston-Salem and 1 in Clemens. There is no doubt that Lieutenant Watkins' actions stopped a deadly threat and mayhem to law enforcement and to members of our community at large. In recognition of your professionalism and actions in the performance of your duty on that day, we award you the Officer of the Year for 2021. Lieutenant Watkins, please step forward. The Winston-Salem Police Department 2021 Officer of the Year award goes to Lieutenant Peter T. Watkins. Because of your professionalism, bravery, and taking decisive action in the performance of your duty, Lieutenant Peter T. Watkins has been selected as the 2021 Officer of the Year. Therefore, as Police Chief and on behalf of the Winston-Salem Police Department, we commend you for your heroic and life-saving actions. Thank you so much. I have to say, I'm proud to be a member of this team. Next up from the Winston-Salem Police Department, you will hear from Officer V.C. Costner, and he will be discussing prevention in car break-ins, followed by Detective M. Barker, who will discuss internet scams. Officer Costner.
Good morning, citizens of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I just want to briefly speak about ways to prevent your car from being broken into. First off, I want to say that we just love our citizens of Winston-Salem, and we thank you for your support and your dedication to our city. Some of the ways to keep your car from being broken into is, number one, is to keep your car doors locked, and your windows closed. Property crimes are often crimes of opportunity. By closing your windows and keeping your doors locked, you lessen the opportunity for a thief to break into your car quickly and to keep a low profile. Number two, secure your keys. Easy access to your keys is a simple way for a thief to steal your car. Never leave your keys inside of your vehicle or your car running unattended. This only makes it easy for a thief to steal your car. Keeping spare keys near your car or in your car, or your spare key inside of a car near your car, is also a way for your car to be stolen quickly. Number three, park your car in a secured area. If possible, park your car in a gated community or a gated fence or a garage area. Try to park your car near a well-lit area or near a CCTV camera. Just being seen on video may discourage a thief from breaking into your car. Number four, remove valuables from your car. Valuables that are visible within a car can be attractive to a would-be burglar. Avoid leaving your purse, phone, laptop, or any other expensive item inside of your vehicle. Shopping bags and luggage also have the presence of something new or valuable. If you have an SUV, consider using a cargo cover to hide the items in the rear of your vehicle. Number five, activate your car's alarm. Most cars today come with a built-in alarm system. When your car alarm is activated, someone opening a car door or attempting to crank your car can trigger the car's alarm. The noise can often be enough to deter a thief, since they don't want the attention of that alarm. Number six, install safety devices. Many newer cars have immobilizers which prevent cars from being started without the key. Another device that you can use to mobilize your vehicle is a steering wheel lock. The only time that this can mobilize your vehicle is if it's unlocked. You can also install outside security cameras or solar lights to deter a would-be thief. Remember, on any of those things, you want to lessen the opportunity for a thief to break inside of your car. Some of the things we have here at the Winston-Salem Police Department that can also help you inside of your community are some of the projects that we have or the team building things that we have. Some of those would be your neighborhood watch. If you want to join a neighborhood watch, that is people of the same mind that are thinking just like you to keep your community safe. We also have PAC, Pups Against Crime. Pups Against Crime is another deterring mechanism to when you're out watching or walking your furry friend, by all means, if you see something, say something. We also have the Real-Time Crime Center, where you can register your cameras if you have a Ring system or any other system with the camera systems here at the Winston-Salem Police Department. You can register your camera at the cityofws.registry.cam/login, or you can text a tip to area code 336-276-1717. Again, if you're out in your community and you see something, please say something. Thank you and have a great day.
Good morning. I'm Mark Barker. I'm a detective in the Criminal Investigations Division's Financial Crimes Unit. Today I want to talk to you about a few internet scams. There's a lot out there. Some of the most recent ones that we've had, number one on my list is rental scams. Those can be anything from getting an email, Craigslist, or even Facebook Marketplace. Those have been pretty prevalent here lately. Basically, what the individual will do is some of them are either finding vacant homes or potentially homes where somebody has recently passed, and they'll put those homes on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. Once that's on there, somebody will go on potentially looking for a house to rent, and next thing you know, they've sent a lease via email or something to that effect, and then they've rented this house that actually belongs to someone else. There might be a period of time, especially if it's someone who's recently deceased. It could be 2, 3, 4 to even, I've got a case right now where it's been over a couple of years because the heir to the house is out of state. During that time frame, these people are now living in this house thinking that they own or are renting to own the house. They're putting money into the house, all to find out that they technically don't, aren't renting the house. It's not a legitimate lease. And they have no stake in those homes. So that's a big one on my list right now. I know there's a few other variations of those scams, one of them being just sending Cash App, right? First month's rent and maybe a deposit. They get into this house and it turns out to be owned by someone else. And then we get a phone call at the police department saying that someone's inside of their house, unauthorized, they're trespassing, and they want them removed. So we deal with those quite a bit as well. The next one would be either the missed court or a warrant scam. Recently, I was at the Public Safety Center and I had a younger female frantic when I got to the door. She told me that the United States Marshals Service had called her and that she had a warrant, and she was absolutely upset because she didn't know what else to do. They asked her to pay. She didn't have the money. She did the right thing. She came down to the police department to confirm whether she had that warrant or not. Sure enough, she didn't have a warrant. But most of the time what they'll do with that is they may ask for gift cards. I've seen a few Cash App, things like that, but they'll ask you to go spend your hard-earned money to stay out of jail. We've also had a recent uptick in either the phone calls or, again, emails about your Amazon account or an eBay account or a PayPal account. I've got one on my city-issued cell phone that, I had purchased, or there was an unauthorized purchase of I think it was 2 or 3 iPhones. When we got, when you start dealing with those, obviously my city-issued cell phone doesn't have anything to do with my Amazon account, so I knew it was a scam. But there are people who will talk to those folks, and then, of course, they're out that money. They'll give over their account information, and then the scammer gets into that account. There's also phone calls, or there are some emails coming through for your bank apps. Most of the time, your bank, they will contact you by phone, but there's some dual authentication things that they will do to confirm who they actually are. My suggestion with any kind of a bank phone call, I really don't give out any personal information over the phone. I'd rather go to my bank. If they tell me, hey, we've had these these unauthorized charges, did you make them? I'll go to my branch if I need to. That's a suggestion I would make. I would not confirm bank account phone number or bank account numbers or anything else over the phone. Publishers Clearinghouse scams, those have been out for a while. You've won the Publishers Clearinghouse award. We're going to come meet with you, and yet we just need you to pay, $1,000 worth of taxes. Again, a lot of times they're asking for gift cards or Cash App, and of course you didn't win the Publishers Clearinghouse award, so you are now out, roughly $1,000 is what I've seen here lately. Or you may pay that and they'll lead you along, and you may end up paying some more money because something else has come up, whether it's more taxes or state transfer fees or something like that. And the romance scam and sweetheart scams, that's one where a lot of times they're targeting people who maybe have recently lost a loved one. Sometimes they're putting their social status on Facebook that they are currently widowed. The scammer will then kind of hone in on that, start sending messages. Sometimes it's by phone, but most of the time that can be a 6-month period or so where they're talking to the individual. A lot of times in that, you may be lonely during that time frame. So it's a nice person to talk to. Then next thing you know, they start asking for a little bit of money. Wouldn't you know it, they're stuck on an oil rig in Alaska and they just need a little bit of cash, and they'll come home and they'll actually meet you. Most of the time, those are not normally accurate either. So the big thing with the majority of these that we ask you to do, one, if it's an unknown number and it's somebody you've never talked to before, never met in person before, I wouldn't even answer the phone. I just kind of let it go to voicemail. If they know you, they'll leave you a voicemail. 2, with rental scams and some of these other in-person scams, I realize that COVID has created, the pandemic's created kind of a hard thing for us because a lot of people don't want to get out and get face-to-face, but that also gives that scammer that opportunity to say, well, I can't meet you, or I'm out of town, and then you do a lot of things by email and stuff. My recommendation with those is obviously meet somebody in person at some point, and try to verify what you can about their legitimate ownership to that property. And the same thing with the court scams and things like that. I'm never going to call you and tell you that you have a warrant and you need to pay me directly in a gift card. That just doesn't make sense. We're not going to ask that. We're going to come serve that warrant. I may contact you and let you know that you have a warrant, but you're going to deal with that warrant the appropriate way. There's never an opportunity to pay to get out of a warrant. So those are my recommendations. And then, I have a few resources here on the next slide. Obviously, the WSPD's website has some good information. If you feel that you're the victim of a crime, you can either report it through there or through our communications division. The FTC's website, ftc.gov, also has some good information about scams, and you can report some of these online scams or cell phone calls that you're getting to them as well. And then the AARP's Fraud Watch Network has some really good information out there, especially when it comes to the romance scams and some of the other scammers that are targeting the elderly. So those are at least 3 good resources that I suggest that you go to. If there's no questions for me, I'm going to have PIO Boyd come back up and finish. Thank you.
This concludes the April 2022 Public Safety News Conference. Are there any outstanding questions? If not, we invite you to come back to our June 2022 Public Safety News Conference. And once again, if you have not signed to receive a copy of this presentation, please do so before you leave. Thank you.